have they ever reached out to you since Bruce has been back there about maybe coming in and doing some work?
No. The last time in Tampa, I spoke to the new guy who was over talent relations in not such a flattering way, and it was just because, man, I think there were just things that were happening that I didn't agree with, or I wasn't willing to fall in line with, I guess. And
Sure.
Looking back on it, I could have, maybe I should have. At the same time, I don't know how it would have turned out in the end anyway, because if it just goes against, and it wasn't, I guess, not so much against the way I felt as it was that they were trying, I liken it this way. You were trying to run the war in Vietnam from Washington. And you saw how that worked back in the 60s. If you're around, you weren't, but I was. So we're down here in Tampa, not getting a whole lot of support and not getting a whole lot of communication. And it would be days before we would ask a question, even call the office, and not always get the right away answer. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we're presented with this new idea. And, do you have a curriculum? Well, yeah, we have a curriculum. Where is it? Okay. To do professional wrestling, it is not an A, B, C, D, E. This is what you do the first week, second, third, fourth. I can make that, and I did make that. In fact, the day I had my 1-year curriculum that they'd been asking for, that was the day I got fired.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah. But there's your way, there's my way, but the right way and the only way does not exist. So when we had a curriculum, we knew where we needed to get the guys. But what do you need to do on this day? What's the vibe this day? How are they feeling? Where's their energy level? What do we got to do? How do we get these guys where we need them to be? What do we do? Well, my way of doing it is this. If you're not feeling this today, we're going to do something else. We're going to get to here, and then we're going to come back to this when it's the energy is a little bit higher and it's going to be more productive. That was my way of thinking. But if you say, today we're going to do this, and they're just not clicking and they're just not happening, well, let's move on to something and get your juices flowing, and let's get something going that way. And they wanted something like first week, second week, third week, A, B, C, D. What are you going to do? You follow that rule book? No. And I don't think they follow as strict as that today. Could be wrong. But I know they have a regimen. I know they have a way of doing things. Is that always the right way to do it? I never thought you wanted cookie cutter. You don't want cookie cutter because it becomes the same. And everybody's doing it the same way. Allow these guys to be creative. Allow these guys to try something. Allow these guys to step out. And it may work. It may not. But that's kind of the way I approached it. Instead of today, we're going to learn how to circle. We're going to learn how to keep the guy in the corner. Okay, if you're not feeling that, well, let's move on to something else. Let's try something else today that we might do Thursday. We'll do this on Tuesday. And that's kind of how I thought.
Is that still more how you approach things for the Jacobs Prichard Wrestling Academy, which I encourage people check out in Knoxville? Is that more of how you approach things? You don't necessarily teach things in a specific order. You go with what works at that time?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I do. And I haven't had we do the same things. We do the same elements. We still have the same basics and fundamentals, but I don't do them exactly in line if nobody's feeling it, because I have a different number in class each time. This class, we had 21 people. Classes before, I've had 2 people in class.
Really?
I've had 1 person in class. So, I mean, I have to adjust, and I've learned how to see if they're receptive or not. If they're hitting this today, great. If they're not, great. I'm going to move on because I want you to stay stimulated. I want you to stay engaged with me. And if you're not engaged in this right now, maybe it's not something we really need to hit on. If you're not really great at doing a leapfrog, there are some things people can't do. Pat Patterson never took a backdrop. He just couldn't take a backdrop. Some people can't do certain moves because it's just not there. So what do we substitute that with? Let's work on the positives and accent that, as opposed to making you have to do a leapfrog or making you have to take a backdrop. Let's substitute something else in there. Let's see what your body type will do. Let's see what your body language looks like when you do this. It may not be something you're supposed to be doing. How about that? But yeah, it's the same approach I do. You're still going to learn the basics. You're still going to learn the fundamentals, and we allow you to be creative as well. Certainly after we get 6 weeks under your belt.
Yeah, a contemporary example to your point. I think it was on a media call. Triple H told me he doesn't like to do the posting where you go in between the top and the middle rope. He's like, I just never could do that effectively. Right. And he's like, a lot of people can. He said, I can't, so I try not to.
So there you go. So if you have a curriculum that says you have to learn this, you have to learn that, you have to learn this, well, okay, we'll try it. And if you can learn it, we're going to get it. But how much time do we spend there? And that's kind of a judgment call, a coaching call. And is it that important? I don't really think it deterred Triple H's career too much.
No.
So, yeah. So, I mean, everybody has their way of doing things. And I have my way. You have your way. The right way, the only way, does not exist. You can do it. That's the great part about professional wrestling. There is nothing etched in stone that says this is the only way to do it. And that's a quote from Vince. There's nothing etched in stone that says this is it, period, done, over. Okay, so why is it that way with training? It shouldn't be. You may be a great talker and not be able to work a lick. You may look great. The Ultimate Warrior. I don't think anybody ever walked out of the arena and said, boy, what a headlock that Ultimate Warrior had tonight, or boy, what a hammerlock John Cena put on that guy tonight. No. Yes, you need to go through the basics, and yes, you have to have fundamentals under your belt. But the bottom line is you want to connect with your audience and communicate with your audience. Did the Warrior communicate? Hell, he stumbled and fumbled on promos. He grunted and groaned, but he had that connection, man. Even when people today ask, who did you watch and why? It's the Ultimate Warrior comes up. I understand because the colorful, the entrance, the energy and just that charisma was oozing out. And that's really what this is about. The Ultimate Warrior worked on the basics and fundamentals in California. He did go through wrestling school. He did put in that work. Did he need them during his career? No, not really. But he needed him to get that next step. He needed him to get his foot in the door. So, there's ways to do it, and everybody has their way of doing things. So they obviously didn't like my way at that time.